Right then. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 8 a.m. here in the UK. Keep smiling. It's all good. It's a bit cold. It's a bit dark, but I'm going to head to the gym shortly, so it's going to be all right. Monday motivation. I love Monday motivation. It's a new start. It's a new week. It's a new chance to get ourselves moving and get things happening. We're live across 9 platforms. So 9 platforms. Instagram over there. The rest of the 8 platforms are all over here. And it's great. It's absolutely great. You've got to love the internet. You've got to love StreamYard. It's great. If you want to connect with me, go to streamyard.com/Facebook and you can put your comments in the chat box, ask any questions, whatever you want to do is fine. But this is Monday Motivation. I've had an amazing weekend, actually, very, very busy. We did photos. We did a photo shoot up at the Ministry bar. Morning, Martin. We did a photo shoot up at the Ministry Members Club bar, which is beautiful. I recommend it. I'm going to join myself in the new year. So the Ministry Members bar, we were up there all day Saturday, and then Sunday we went to hear Norman Jay play up on the roof in Brixton. Fabulous, fabulous. What a night. So good to be out. Safe groups of 6, and everyone just enjoying the music. So that was excellent, and it was so good to see Norman. Fantastic guy, fantastic DJ, really, really great. So that was awesome. I also spent a bit of time watching The Secret. Morning, Charlotte, over there on Instagram. I also watched a bit of The Secret this weekend, just for the millionth time. But sometimes I just put it on if I'm in the bath or I'm lazing around. I just put The Secret on for a little while. And Jack Canfield come up. Jack Canfield's an author, a speaker, a coach, a fantastic guy in America. Then I found his story on Amazon. Amazon Prime. So I went to the Jack Canfield story and I watched that. And that was really, really interesting as well. Highly recommend watching Jack Canfield's story. Basically, Jack was in The Secret, but he also came up with Chicken Soup for the Soul. He came up with Chicken Soup for the Soul, this little book here. See that, guys? This little book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's basically a collection of short stories from authors from all around the world. It's fascinating stuff, really interesting. And there's a bit of Monday motivation in here that I want to read to you. It's actually a Bob Proctor story, but it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to read a bit to you, and then we're going to play a little game after that. So the 333 story, really, really interesting in Chicken Soup for the Soul. He said he was doing a weekend seminar in Toronto. And as he was driving home, there'd been a tornado that had gone through parts of Canada there. At the same night, there was another guy that was driving back down the same road. And when he stopped, they stopped everywhere and they saw smashed houses, everything turned upside down, an absolute wreck of this little town called Barrie, which had been in the eye of the storm or in the tornado, essentially. And they looked at the disaster. Only Bob Templeton had a different thought to Bob Proctor. Bob Templeton was CEO of a radio station, vice president of a radio station, I should say, in Ontario and Quebec. And he thought there must be something they could do. So he was like, right, okay, there must be something I can do. They were talking together about this, and they were trying to get their heads around what could they do that would actually like make a difference to these people that have just been in this tornado and absolutely had their homes wrecked and everything. By the time the following Friday came around, this Bob Templeton from this radio station had come up with the idea and sat with his executives and said, how would you like to raise $3 million 3 days from now in just 3 hours? How would you like to raise $3 million 3 days from now in just 3 hours? That's why it's called the 333 story. Okay. But how would you like to do that? And someone in the room, one of the executives in the room said, Templeton, you're crazy. There's no way we could do that. Okay. There's no way that we could do that. Okay. That's what one of his executives said that. You've all been in meeting rooms where someone said, well, it's not possible. We can't do that. You've all been in meeting rooms where that's happened. I know I have. I certainly have. And then Bob turned around and said, so the CEO turned around and said, wait a minute. I didn't ask you if we could or even if we should. All I asked is if you would like to. Powerful question. I was talking about wants and needs the other week, and the power of actually saying, no, I don't want it. I don't need it. I would like it, or I like it. Very, very important that you say, good morning, Dave. Good to have you with us as well. Very, very important that you would say what you would like. What would you like? Set the goal and let's get on with it. So everyone in the room said, sure, we'd really like to do that. Of course, we'd like to do that. We'd like to help these people that have had their houses wrecked, etc. We'd like to raise $3 million in 3 hours Absolutely. Morning, Richard. So they all sat around, and then this is the leadership bit. This is the Monday motivation bit. This is the bit that gets you like, right, hang on a minute, we're going to do something here. The guys, they all said, sure, they'd love to do it. He said, okay, I'm going to write a large T on a piece of paper. Here's one I prepared already. I'm going to draw a large T on a piece of paper like this. Okay. We're going to write a large T, and then we're going to say on one side, we're going to write why we can't. So we're going to write one side of this T, why we can't do it. Yeah. Okay. And the other side, we're going to write how we can. So I've got a Facebook user saying, good morning, good morning, good morning. If you haven't done the identity bit with StreamYard, then just tell me your name when you write in the box. That'd be great. Excuse me. So on this T, it says why we can't and how we can. That's all it says. It's not rocket science. Why we can't and how we can. That's it, right? And imagine sitting in a meeting room with people throughout this week, or even in a short meeting if you need to, and going through your goal and what you want to achieve as a company or as an individual. You can do this. I do this in my own head a lot. And thinking about why we can't and then how we can. So what he said was, in this meeting, particular meeting, he said, I'm going to put an X. Every time someone says why we can't, I'm going to put an X on that side and in that column. So we'll get all the ideas of why we can't do it, but we're not going to acknowledge them particularly. We're just going to put an X. Excuse me. Okay. We're not going to spend any time on those ideas about why we can't, because there's absolutely no value. Hi, Leslie. Excellent. Glad you're here. So here we go. This is really good as well. Okay. So just thinking about all of our stories, make a big T on a piece of paper, write your goal at the top, there, and write why we can't and how we can. That's it. Okay. So we're not going to spend any time on the ideas of why we can't. That's why we're going to put an X on that side. Good morning, Des. How are you, mate? So we're not going to spend any time wasting on any moment about our goal. We're going to write our goal down, why we can't, how we can. And we're going to put a T on the piece of paper. There it is. Here's mine this morning. And we're going to start to do it. So at the end of the day, my one, particularly here, I was thinking about this morning. I was thinking, how am I going to reach 10 million people with Life Remixed in 2021? Well, actually, the goal started this morning when I was making my morning drink, which actually said, how am I going to reach 1 million people with Life Remixed? That was my goal this morning when I woke up. How am I going to reach 1 million people with Life Remixed in 2021? And then I walked upstairs. As I was coming upstairs with the teas, I suddenly thought, hang on a minute. I'm writing an article this week for a female women's magazine, which has a readership of 1 million people. So actually, an online magazine with a readership of 1 million people. We're doing a feature this week. So actually, I've already achieved that. How am I going to reach 1 million people potentially? So actually, okay, so that's why I've written down, how am I going to reach 10 million people with this information? You've got to stretch yourself. You've got to set goals that might seem outlandish, but some people will be sitting at home sneering or going, no, you'll never do it. I'll just put an X in the why we can't. Any person that says why we can't, put an X in there. That's okay. That's absolutely fine. There's a great quote. This is all from Jack Canfield and Bob Proctor in here in Chicken Soup for the Soul. There's a great quote from Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy, who was Jack Canfield's mentor, says, leaders think and talk about solutions. Followers think and talk about the problems. Let me read that again. Leaders think and talk about solutions. Followers think and talk about the problems. So which one are you going to be today? Are you going to be a leader or are you going to be a follower? It's up to you. You can choose. You can choose. You can sit around and talk about all the problems all day long, or you can turn around and say, actually, I want to think about the solutions here. What are the solutions? And that's leadership, and that's how you get moving. So they wrote this down on this 333 story. On the why we can't side, they put an X every time someone came up with, well, we can't do that because, okay, X, in it goes, no problem. And on the why we can or how we can, they started to write down solutions, ideas, ways and means they could get there. Finally, someone in the meeting said, we could come up with a radio show across Canada. Okay, that's a great idea. So we put that in the how we can side. And then someone said, you can't do a radio show across Canada. We don't have radio stations across Canada. Okay. Valid objection. and they only had stations in a couple of small areas, didn't have nationwide. Templeton replied, "That's why we can. That stays." So obviously, then he said there's a really strong objection because radio stations are very competitive. They usually don't work together, and to get them to do so would be virtually impossible according to the standard way of thinking. And this is the important bit. You need to move outside your normal thinking place. You need to move outside the box, or whatever you want to call it. But you need to just say, right, hang on a second, I need to think about this differently. How can I connect in a different way? All of a sudden, someone else suggested you could get Harvey Kirk and Lloyd Robertson, the biggest names in Canadian broadcasting, to anchor the show. That would be huge, wouldn't it? That would be absolutely huge in Canada, of course. But all of a sudden, they're on national TV. We need to get them from national TV onto this campaign. Someone else came up with another idea, how we can. They came up with all of these ideas, and it was absolutely amazing how fast and furious the creative ideas began to flow as soon as they stopped thinking about why we can't, and how they got into how we can. Yeah. So how can I reach 10 million people with Life Remixed? Watch this list grow over the next week. I'll share it with you next Monday, perhaps. But I'm going to write down all the ideas. I've got 1 million for a feature this week. I've got way more than that already from all of these lives and all the other great stuff that we're doing out there in the world. So how can we reach more people? What can we do? And I'm going to be writing this down here, how we can. I don't want to be a follower. I don't want to come up with all the ideas of why we can't and think about all the problems. I want to be a leader. I want to write down, or I am a leader. I like being a leader. And I want to write down how we can. As long as I write down how we can across this whole piece of paper, I will fill up this piece of paper of how we can reach 10 million people in 2021 with Life Remixed, the book, the messages, all the people that are involved in it, all the people that are supporting it. It's exciting times. It's really exciting times. Your life can be so much better when you actually decide to start to think about how you can do stuff and actually get moving. Don't think of all the problems, because your brain, we automatically wired for the negative most of the time, especially the way we've been brought up and the way we've been programmed by society and everything else. We're automatically programmed just to sort of stay like, keep safe. Like a lot of people are creeping through life hoping they get safely to death. It's no way to live. Life's not about that. Life's about creativity. Yes, you're going to have some failures, but you're going to have some good successes as well. And enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Don't allow those mental self-talk to take you down, Be confident, be brave, go for it, learn, study, grow. That's what it's about. It's Monday Motivation. I'm here every single week. We do Sunday nights, we do Ask Mark Anything. Monday, we do 8 a.m. we do the Monday Motivation. And then throughout the week, I'm here tomorrow night, Tuesday night with Life Remixed samples. So we talk about each chapter. And then Wednesday night, I've got Lewis Senior joining me from eColors and Equilibria, which is a fascinating tool that I think so many people could use for their advantage. And it's something that I'm discussing with them in great detail at the moment about how we can reach more people with their products, as well as Life Remixed, and as well as all the other people that I'm involved with, Kevin Green, Danny Ramplin. There's so many people that we're talking to. We've got some wonderful contacts, and life is really, really wonderful for me nowadays. It can be for you as well. You've just got to motivate yourself. Stop thinking about why you can't and start thinking about how you can do things. But first and foremost, before you even get into the house, have the vision. Yeah, have that vision. Know your purpose. Have that vision. Write down your goals. Think about how you can do them, because I know you can do them. I know you can. All you've got to do is have a definitive decision. Decision is so important. So many people waste their lives without making decisions, or they take ages to make a decision. It's not good. It's not good. Be decisive. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. This is how it's going to be. I'll give you an example. I signed up for some property coaching with Kevin Green probably about 3 years ago now. It's one of the best things we ever did. And we've met some incredible people along the way, and we're doing some fantastic deals, and life is amazing. I just said, I'm doing it, decisive. I've done all this study and personal development. I went, right, I'm deciding to do this. It is done. And I went for it. And Emma, my wife, she likes to be like, she really likes to think things through. She often admits that if it was up to her, we'd still be thinking about whether we should sign up or not. So there you go. Sometimes in partnerships, particularly, someone maybe has to step up and say, I'm going to make a decision here, and we're going to do this together, and it's going to be amazing. So at the end of the day, guys, it's up to you. You get to decide how your life is. But just remember what I've said with the 333 story from Chicken Soup for the Soul. This brand is now worth $100 million worldwide. And it's just a short stories, loads of short stories, but it's beautiful and it helps so many people. You know, it's a great book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. There's great books all around you, everywhere. So reach out for them, read them, study them. Intelligent people will share their story with you. And it's important that you read them. I read them all the time. I love reading other people's stories. I'm fascinated by people and humanity. Excuse me. So, Chicken Soup for the Soul, The Secret, Jack Canfield's story I watched. Great quotes from Brian Tracy about being a leader or a follower. Which one are you? Which one are you going to be today? Think about all the reasons how you can do things and then get on and do them. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Have a great day, a great Monday. I'm going to the gym and then we're buying another property today, as you do. Okay, so at the end of the day, guys, it's up to you. Make your decisions. Get out there. Let's get things moving. All right. See you soon. Cheers.